Hi everyone, my name is Bella and this is Breaking the Stigma. In this show, I really want to focus on doing exactly what the title implies and break the stigma of mental illness. I feel like this is a very serious issue. It's an epidemic right now. I know so many people in my life right now that are suffering from a myriad of different issues, such as anxiety, depression, eating disorders, PTSD. So much is going on in my loved ones' lives. And I've even experienced some of these issues myself. And let me tell you, it can feel a little scary when you're trying to go through this on your own. So, what I want to do is I want to try and break the silence. I want to help people to feel more comfortable talking about their issues because for me personally, going through this alone, it was terrible. I hated it and it wasn't a good time. And once I felt comfortable with talking to other people in my life, it got a lot better. I felt a lot more comfortable and I was eventually able to reach out to a mental health care professional and get the help that I needed. Now, with that in mind, I'd like to make one very important note. I am not a mental health care provider or professional in any way, shape, or form. I'm only a human bio student. I have not gotten the proper training for this. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about my own personal experiences. And you can just take whatever you want from it. And if you find some of my coping mechanisms helpful, please use them. Do whatever you need to do to get better. But really, the main goal of this is not to give people advice and tell them what to do. It's just for me to talk about my own personal experiences and show people that went through the same issues and struggles as I did that you can get better and what can happen when you actually start to try working on this and when you feel comfortable talking about it. And I want to break the silence, like I said before. Um, so with that in mind, I want to start talking about my first subject matter. So today I'm going to be talking about something that I like to call the evil little voice inside of your head. Now, for me, I experienced this evil little voice when I was struggling with depression. I've struggled with issues of anxiety and depression in the past. And this voice would just kind of pop into my head, and it was almost like another person was inside of my head. Not to say that I had like multiple personality disorder or anything like that, not implying any of that. All I'm saying is the thoughts that were coming inside my head were just so different from what I normally would think that it was almost like I was a completely different person. These thoughts caused me to isolate myself. They made me feel super insecure, and I never wanted to be around anyone because of them. Now, one of the main things that I really thought when I was going through these issues is that people were going to think I was crazy. People were going to think that I was broken. People were going to think that I was too much to be around and too much to handle, and it just wasn't worth having a relationship with me anymore, which was not the case at all. In fact, when I did finally start talking about it with people, in fact, it was quite opposite. I had such an amazing support system through all of my issues, all of my loved ones, my friends, my roommates, my boyfriend, my parents. They all have been so supportive of me, so loving, and they honestly just made my whole issue and my journey to recovery so much easier when I was able to talk to them. So, I just want to tell you that if you are having the same feelings that I had, probably not true. In fact, more often than not, I actually talked to a bunch of people that were in my life about it, and a lot of people ended up having the same issues as I did. And it felt really good to talk to them about it. Even though they're not a professional, it feels really good just to get it out and to have someone who's experiencing the same issues as you, which again is another reason why I'm doing this. Just to know that you're not the only one feeling this and you're not the only one going through this. It's really helpful. Another thing that I really like to do when I started to identify this evil little voice and recognize these kind of negative feelings that were coming inside my head is I like to just try and nip it in the bud. I would literally say to myself, Bella, stop it. This is not true. This is not you. You are just overthinking things right now. And then what I would kind of try to do is I would try to distract myself and get my mind away from those negative feelings and thoughts. Now, not to say that you should ignore these issues at all. Just sometimes when you're getting into that mental state and you're having all these negative thoughts come in, you just need to take your train of thought down a different path. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, just as long as you can eventually get yourself to a good enough feeling, a good enough mental state that you can start to talk about it and you can start to try and cope with these issues. Now, a lot of the things that I like to do were just really simple. Like, one thing that I like to do was this weird thing called diamond painting, where you'd stick little gems onto sticky paper. It was really cool. If you have a hobby like music, I like to play the ukulele. That's something I did too. If you're someone that was like me and felt very isolated and uncomfortable being around people at this time, uh, there are so many different things you could do by yourself. You can even watch TV just to get your mind off of it. Something as simple as that. And if you ever get to where you're feeling comfortable enough to be around other people, I found that that was a really great distraction as well. Um, Another thing that I really want to bring up that I felt a lot with this evil little voice inside my head was that my feelings were invalid and that I had no right to feel the way that I did. A few of the people in my life who have also had the same issues as me had gone through very traumatic events recently that brought on these issues. And I hadn't gone through anything traumatic. It was just me living my normal life, and all of a sudden my mind just kind of started to change and alter the way that it used to think. So I just want to say that your feelings are not invalid. Just because you haven't gone through a traumatic event or you haven't had something terrible happen to you recently does not mean that you are invalid in feeling the way that you feel. Um, it can just be a change in your chemical balance in your brain. That's just something that happens. It's completely normal and it's not your fault. I mean, it's not normal, obviously, for you, but it's just something that happens. You have no control over it, and it's not your fault that you feel the way that you do when this happens. So please never feel like you're invalid whenever you feel like this, even if you haven't had anything terrible happen to you, because that's something that I thought, and it really discouraged me from talking to other people. I thought, oh my gosh, this person in my life has gone through this and that and this and that, and nothing has happened to me. I just have a few minor, like, indiscretions or insecurities in my life going on right now, and it just sends me off the rails. That's fine. That happens sometimes. That's why it's called a mental illness, because there's something wrong. There's something abnormal going on in your body. Once again, it's totally fine. Can't say this enough. So yeah, when you kind of feel like that, I understand it's super difficult to talk to people about it. And I think all you really need to do is just recite to yourself what I said to you. It's an illness, it's something that you can't control, and try and work up the courage to get yourself to talk to people about it. Because no one will ever think less of you or think that you're weak or that you can't handle life just because you're having these issues. Like, for me personally, I want to be a doctor someday. And I kept on thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I'm having so much anxiety over school right now, and I can't even handle undergrad. So everyone in my family is going to think, what are you doing trying to go to medical school if you can't even handle undergrad? It's going to be so much stressful. It's going to be so much harder. Well, that's just it. Now that I've worked on these issues, I don't have the anxiety that I used to have. I used to just overthink every little thing that would happen. I would get a B and I'd think, oh my God, I can never get into medical school. That's not normally me. Well, I mean, it was, but not anymore. I'm a lot more relaxed and I'm a lot less stressed out about this kind of stuff. And that's just the thing. You need to work on this stuff. You need to confront it and approach the issues so you don't have that problem anymore. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the biggest thing that I would say take away from this episode is just when you hear that evil little voice, ignore it. Tell it that it's wrong. Like, literally, if you need to say to yourself out loud, you're being ridiculous, stop thinking this kind of stuff, then do it. Sometimes I had to do that. Just look in the mirror and be like, stop it. I know what you're trying to do, brain, and you're not going to do it today. Sorry if that seems a little weird, but honestly, sometimes to say it out loud actually works. It's a little bit more helpful than, just saying it in your head. So yeah, that is kind of everything that I wanted to talk about today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm planning on talking about a bunch of different topics, and I have a few people that have overcome their issues as well in my life that have said that they would be willing to come on the show and discuss some of their issues, because fortunately enough for me, I have not experienced every issue that's out there when it comes to mental health, and I cannot talk about some things because I don't have personal experience with it and I have no authority to talk about it. So hopefully I'll get some people to talk about different issues on here too. It, I want everyone to be able to feel comfortable. If you're not struggling with anxiety or depression like I did, then I personally can't offer a lot of help to you, but I want to be able to help as many people as I possibly can. I think that it's really important when you have these issues to kind of catch it as fast as you can, because when you let it just sit and simmer, that's when it gets worse and that's when it gets harder to get out of those loops that you put yourself in. Um, I'd also like to note that, I'm not just saying some of this stuff. A lot of the coping mechanisms that I have come from a psychiatrist or a psychologist. I see both. And I will also try and keep in contact with them, try and get advice from them. And I will let you guys know whenever some of the advice that I'm saying is not just something that I did for myself. This is something that was recommended to me by a mental health professional. And I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video and that it was helpful. If you're looking for more help or you just like these videos, please subscribe and like. And if there are any issues that you've had or that you want to talk about, I'm going to post my contact information in the link below. So feel free to privately DM me or something, and I can try and talk about some of the issues that other people are experiencing. And I'm also going to post a link to a suicide helpline or hotline in the bio as well, or in the comments as well, because I think that that's a really important resource. And I just want to remind all of you that you are loved, you are important, and you do matter. And you're going to do great things, and you're going to be able to get through this. And I just wanted to say, I love you all. Hope you have an amazing day. And once again, this is Breaking the Stigma. I hope you guys enjoyed.